Welcome to Heart Space Podcast. We are your hosts. I'm Anna.
And I'm Candice. This is a podcast dedicated to all things heart-centered. In each episode, we will open our heart space to share embodied experiences, simple tips, and thoughtful prompts for you to live a heart-centered life.
If you are curious about the wisdom of our hearts, if you are ready to embrace deep transformation, this podcast is for you.
Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast so you don't miss any episodes.
From our hearts to yours, Anna and Candice.
Hi, today we have our very first guest episode with Parnella. Very excited for you to be hearing Parnella's voice as well as her story. She is someone who is very eloquent, very funny, jovial, and full of wisdom. Parnella is a friend and an Ayurvedic practitioner. So through this conversation, you will be hearing a lot about Ayurveda, using Ayurveda as a compass for us to have this conversation. However, it's much more than that. It is all about how Parnella is living a heart-centered life and finding ways to get through common things that we all experience, such as burnout, insecurity, feeling like we're not good enough. And just for context, the name Prasad will be mentioned a couple of times in this episode. He is our teacher. That is all, and I hope you enjoy this episode. Welcome to Heart Space Podcast. This is our official episode to start off season 2. And today we have a very exciting episode because we have a friend with us, which we will introduce in a bit. Maybe the sound quality is also a little bit upgraded because we are in a very official recording studio, which is giving me a little bit of that nerves. But at the same time, listening to our voice, it feels like we will ease into this in a bit.
Definitely.
Yeah. And hopefully you would appreciate now that our voice is a little bit more elevated than the last episode.
Please do appreciate it.
And let us know if this is good because we might continue and, improve and serve you with better voices to bring you along with our journey. And wherever you might be hearing this, you would be having a good time listening to us.
Yeah.
So we're going to start the episode really quickly. Today is going to be a little bit of everything, but at the same time, we have an idea of what is the topic that we're going to share, mainly talking about burnout, rest, and Ayurveda, a topic that is very, very deeply moving for the three of us, I guess. In our own ways, we have came to Ayurveda, or Ayurveda have found us in our own journey at our own time. And we are very curious to know how our guest actually met Ayurveda or Ayurveda came to her lab. So I'll let Anna to share a little bit more about her before we officially introduce her voice to you.
Yeah. So today we have here Parnella. So Parnella fell into Mother Ayurveda's lab in 2018 when she randomly decided to sign up for an Ayurveda Foundations course to celebrate getting her first corporate bonus. And that first class was the beginning of her unwavering studentship and exploration of Ayurveda and Yoga as sciences of life, sciences of beauty, of love, of nature. And studying these sister sciences have revealed the immense interconnectedness that keeps inspiring Parnella. She feels like an ecstatic child running through a vast open field of knowledge and timeless beauty. I love this sentence. Each realization and lesson feels like a golden key, unlocking and simplifying the complexities of life and the universe. As an Ayurveda practitioner, she provides therapeutic services to patients from all walks of life and facilitates Ayurveda and Yoga therapy foundation classes at Union Yoga Ayurveda to curious students. At home, she's the proud dog mother of Faye, a 14-year-old vivacious and sassy Singapore special whom she claims to be more into Ayurveda than her. Parnella truly believes that Ayurveda and yoga are for everyone. Whatever your species, race, occupation, age, there is something for everyone because Ayurveda and yoga are really gifts to the world from the universe. Hi, Parnella.
Hello.
How are you
Thank
feeling
you for
today?
having me. I'm feeling really good. I'm a bit overwhelmed, but like in the best sense possible, because this is a dream come true to be on a podcast, to be able to have space to really just go completely insane and talk about Ayurveda and yoga.
Yeah.
We're so happy to have you here.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for preparing this beautiful introduction. One immediate question that popped into both our minds was,
Yes.
how is it that your dog is more into Ayurveda than you?
Well, we have to remember that Ayurveda is the science of life and nature, and a lot of the sciences that have been recorded in the Shastras and in the Charaka Samhita and the Sushruta Samhita is observations and examples that have been inspired by nature, which means it's been inspired by not just the cycles of nature, but also by animal behavior and so on and so forth. Because she's an animal, she's a dog, she's way more in tune to the natural rhythms of life, the sunrise, the sunset, way more than I am. So, she wakes up at 5:30 every day, which inspires me. Sometimes it forces me to wake up at 5:30 with her to go for a walk, because that's when it's nice and quiet, it's silent, it's very calm. So I'm able to really appreciate the silence of the new day before the chaos of the sun comes in and the activity starts bustling about. And she always eats at the same time. She sleeps at the same time. She goes to the toilet at the same time. And that's what Ayurveda is always telling us to do. Do the most basic things at the same time every day. So you create a rhythm, you create a nice schedule for your body so that there are no surprises, so that your body is able to recognize when it needs to sleep, when it needs to eat, when it needs to rest, and when it needs to play. So when she's not doing any of those things, she's just chilling out and taking a nap, or she's just being a dog and doing her own dog things, which we as human beings forget because we always try to overcompensate and do more than what we are capable of, because we are consistently trying to be like this person or be like that person. And some of the examples I like to share with my students or tell people, like, a giraffe knows how to be a giraffe, a dog knows how to be a dog, but here we are as human beings trying to be a superhero. Like, we're not superheroes, we're human beings. We are just meant to live, breathe, and keep things as simple as possible, as steady as possible, and really just to be ourselves. So a lot of times we feel lost and overwhelmed because we end up going so far away from ourselves that we forget who we are. Whereas for animals, they just know that, this is what I am, this is what I do. So they're very much in tune with themselves. So I take a lot of inspiration from her, actually. Like, every time I go for a class or I read something, and there's the theoretical knowledge that comes with Ayurveda, but then when you see the practical applications of it woven into the intricate rhythms of life and nature, and I see it in my dog, and I'm like, she just consistently inspires me, and she's just a reminder that, time is always passing, life is always changing, aging happens, you can't run away from it. So you just welcome everything with as much love and with as much compassion and with as much patience as possible. So that's why I say she's way more Ayurvedic than I am. So it's not a competition, it's more like, oh my God, you're a miracle.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and it's a blessing, right, that you get to actually live this life with Faye.
Oh, yes. Every day. Just this morning, I woke up. So we went for our 5:30 walk, and then we went back to bed. I know Ayurveda is like, not, you're not supposed to go back to bed after like waking up, but we went back to bed because it's my day off, and the the weather was really nice, and I was just watching her sleep. And I'm like, I was just thinking, I don't have a lot of time with her, but every single day I still get time with her. So even if it seems like I'm having more time, I'm also having less time. And the fact that I get to observe and just marvel at how she's grown over the years and how we've grown together is it was just so amazing. I was so grateful, and I was just watching her and just like, this is so cool.
So happy for you. I don't think many people could actually look at their pet as more than a companion. Sometimes people might feel like, oh, I'm doing it for the pet, and the pet should be grateful for me, you know, giving a very nice accommodation and all of that. But animals in their own ways are teaching us a lot more, and they're much wiser than we are.
Yes.
We are just very confused with our identities that you shared.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because they have that one identity. We have so many, you know, like here we are, like Ayurveda therapist, advisor, practitioner, massage therapist, daughter, like all these things, all these
Endless.
labels, they just keep piling on top. But then Faye is just Faye.
Yeah.
She's just Faye. That's it. Even in the Gita, it's like, you know, do one thing, focus on one thing. And she's focusing on one thing, and sometimes she does things that annoy me, and I get annoyed with her, and I scold her, and then I'm thinking, you are insane. You are scolding a dog for being a dog. So then I just look at her, I'm like, I'm sorry, I have no idea what I'm doing in this life, but you clearly know what you're doing, so have at it, go for it. Who am I to stop you?
Definitely such incredible teacher. Animals, nature. Yeah. One of the most greatest teachers, definitely. Yes. So thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
All right. So maybe as we slowly go and dive deeper into your background, you can share with us your relationship with Ayurveda. How did it start? How is it different now? Yeah.
I honestly fell into it without planning at all. It just sort of happened very quickly. Like you said in the introduction, I got my first bonus and I didn't know what to do with the money. I didn't want to buy anything because it didn't make sense, but I wanted to learn something. So at that time in 2018, I think a lot of yoga teacher trainings were becoming extremely popular, but I didn't feel called to going for a yoga teacher training process because I felt a great disconnect from yoga at that time because there were so many unnecessarily expensive memberships. It was very much about the posture and the asana, and I felt I didn't see anybody who looked like me in the yoga classes as well. I couldn't connect to what they were teaching, but I just utilized the physical aspects of yoga to make myself stronger, which helped me in my healing process as well. How Ayurveda happened was I was on Google and I was thinking, should I do a TCM course just out of curiosity or a natural medicine course just to learn something? And then I was thinking, okay, so my ancestors came up with yoga. Did we have medicine? So I was like, Indian medicine, course. That's literally what I Googled. And then the foundation course from Union Yoga Ayurveda popped up. And without even asking any questions, without even like looking at the price, I just sent them an email and said, I would like to sign up. Please let me know when your soonest class starts. I was one of those students that was just, I found what I wanted. I'm not going to ask questions. I'm just going to go, just dive in and see what happens. Whereas now there are so many people like, oh, how is this going to benefit me? I'm like, I don't care. I found what I wanted, you see? And at that time, I was working in the Marine line as an executive assistant, and I had the most understanding boss. So I asked him, can I come in an hour early so I can leave an hour early so I can do my studies? He said, sure, as long as you finish your work. So thank God for him. He really is a blessing. Because if I had someone who was not flexible, I don't think I would be where I am today, to be perfectly honest. So when I started my classes at Union, my mind just exploded. basically, because everything that was being discussed just in the foundations course alone allowed me to explore a lot of questions that I had in my mind. So that sparked an almost very thirsty sort of curiosity. And I'm a very curious person. I'm that child that is always asking why. Why and how and when. And if I can't figure it out, I will try and find out on my own. My mother could not leave me alone with a pair of scissors or a screwdriver because something would fall apart in the house. So I am that child. So when that started, and part of the curriculum at Union with the foundations courses, you have to also do some field training. So you actually have some one-on-one time or supervised time with the patient. And when I started doing some of the therapies, it didn't feel weird. It didn't feel strange to be putting my hands on someone's head. It didn't feel strange to be speaking to somebody about their health. It felt very normal, very natural. It almost felt like I was very much alive and at one with my body. And when I go home, I was just thinking, what just happened? Why is this completely okay? Why does this feel not scary? Why does this feel like I am doing what I'm meant to be doing? So my teachers were very encouraging, and they also said, why don't you try and do the 500-hour therapist training course? And I was like, yeah, okay, sure. Didn't ask questions, didn't even find out the price. I was just like, if I have the money, I'll pay for it and we'll figure it out along the way. So fast forward 5-6 years, I'm an Ayurveda therapist, and I'm also a teacher as well, which is wild because that was not the plan. I don't plan for things. I didn't know what I was getting myself into until my mentor, Dr. Satyam, said, Parnella, why don't you teach the foundation class? And I just looked at him like he was crazy. I said, me? Don't you want someone who is more technical? Don't you want someone who is more like they'll follow what is on the slides? He goes, no, Parnella, I want someone flexible. And I'm like, you think I'm flexible? So I had so many self-doubts. I didn't have a lot of confidence. And I remember my first class, I just sort of sat in front of the students and we just sort of looked at each other for a while. And then I told myself, you know what, let's just teach and see what happens. And sometimes when I'm teaching, I have to take a moment and stop because in my head, I'm like, where did that come from? I would have those moments. So that's how I fell into Ayurveda. I literally fell at her. It's one of those things where the door opens and you fall and you find yourself at the mercy of someone's feet and they're just there to pick you up and go, okay, you're finally here. Like, what took you so long? So yeah, it's been an incredible journey and I've got a chance to really be a part of a lot of people's healing journeys as well. It's really been a privilege. Every person I get to interact with, whether it's a patient, whether it's a student or someone's relative, it's really a blessing.
Yeah.
Honestly, I couldn't ask for anything else. So when people ask me, what do you do for work? I'm like, I don't know how to answer your question because I get to live it every day. I get to be of service every day, and I get to witness growth. I get to witness change. I get to witness the very subtle signs of healing along the way, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool.
And I also think it's pretty cool that all three of us actually studied in Union for a while at different timings, different timeline.
Yes.
But somehow, thanks to Union, not a sponsored post, by the way, we have landed into Ayurveda's lab. And the beauty of it is that Ayurveda is just so welcoming to everyone who is willing to just open up and listen to what the scriptures have to say. And like you said, when you are in the course and, you know, something feels natural, it could also mean that this could be the path of your future Dharma, or maybe it has already been your Dharma. It's just that you are going through life, maturing through the course, and now
Yes.
that you have reached this level of maturity, you can receive the
Yes.
knowledge. Yeah, and I'm glad that you could, and you did, and you
so-
continued and
I'm so
persevered on.
grateful. I'm
Yeah.
so grateful. Like I feel like I will never stop learning from Ayurveda and yoga, to be perfectly honest.
Mm.
It's a
Because of
lifelong
Ayurveda,
journey, right?
yeah, because of Ayurveda, it gave me a healthy. It sort of stripped away the feeling of being jaded with yoga. It Ayurveda allowed me to sort of reignite my relationship with yoga again, but from a different perspective. Instead of just being asana class, oh, can you do a headstand? No, I can't do a headstand, but I can do other things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm very grateful to Ayurveda, and I feel like whatever I know now is literally just a speck of the vast knowledge that is Ayurveda, because it's, like I said, it's a gift from the universe. It's a gift. I see it as a gift from God, or whoever wants to see it that way, because there's no real founder of it. Some traditional Ayurveda practitioners would say that Ayurveda is as old as time, and I couldn't agree more, because it was probably already in existence
Of course.
before
Yeah.
us. Just that human beings have the intellect to pen everything down, and
Yeah.
because they did that, that's why we are able to still continue witnessing its
Yeah.
grandeur.
And it's timeless too, because everything that is written 5,000 years, 5,000 years is just something for us to conceptually
Yes.
understand, but
Yes.
way above, way beyond.
And still use it.
Yeah, it's still very applicable right now.
Mm.
And I feel very heartened that you said that through Ayurveda, you found your path of yoga. And that also meant that there are many, many paths, there are many ways for us to come to this point of wanting to know more about what is beyond this physical manifestation of self.
Yes.
So if you could just share with us a little bit of this popular knowing of Ayurveda and yoga being sister sciences, which personally I find that it's just a very blanket, easy statement to put
Yes.
it. Could you just share a little bit about that in your own words? What's the interconnectedness between these two paths, and for you as well, how is it an embodied experience?
With Ayurveda, you have a lot of nutrition. So I see Ayurveda as a way of nourishing our minds, bodies, and souls. Whereas so you see it more in the physical applications. Of course, there's more to it, but to put it very simply for everyone to understand, when we think of Ayurveda, we think of massages and oils and food and spices. So it really nourishes the body. So it feeds the very soil of your soul, basically, to give you enough strength, to give you enough confidence, to also to clear away what is not necessary, using food and using daily rituals to cleanse yourself and to optimize all your functions, mental, physical, emotional, everything. And yoga comes in from a soul and a self perspective, because the soul is what you need for your body to function, right? That's why we talk about life force and prana and all those very subtle aspects. So what yoga does is yoga teaches us and works together with Ayurveda to liberate the mind and the soul. And in order for us to even come to that aspect of mind and soul liberation, your physical body needs to be nourished, and that's where Ayurveda comes in. Ayurveda is like the mother that gives you a nourishing hug, and then yoga is the one that says, okay, it's okay, let's sit with this, let's calm down, it's going to be okay. That's how I see these two working together hand in hand. They work separately beautifully, but then when you combine them together, it's so comprehensive, it's so wholesome, and it's so kind as well. And in that kindness, of course, you receive some really harsh lessons along the way, because these two sciences of life and the universe, they also come with a lot of truth. And truth is something that we tend to run away from, because the truth is always painful And the truth, like what Prasad said, it can be a bitter pill to swallow. But with Ayurveda and yoga coming together, it becomes less bitter. You know, you still have spaces where you can sit down and come back to yourself. And that's why there's so many aspects of yoga that I love, with building community, leaning on each other, and also always remembering that we are a physical manifestation of all the 5 elements in the universe. That even though we all look different, we speak different, but we're all really the same.
Yeah.
So that's why it's a very beautiful relationship that I have with yoga and Ayurveda, because it allows me to question everything and anything, but also at the same time gives me space to know when my body needs nourishment, or when my mind needs nourishment, or when we need rest, to come back and face the truth again with a little bit more love and compassion.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a lot of people get very intimidated by Ayurveda, because when you go online and you Google, you see like, don't do this, don't do that, like you can't have this, you can't have that, you have to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning, blah blah blah. And everyone's like, yeah, no, that's impossible, that's not sustainable. And honestly, for a lot of people in the 21st century, it can be unsustainable, because it's a lot of things to do, because our lifestyle now is very different from how it was a few thousands of years ago. You see?
Yeah.
So I always encourage students or anyone who's curious about Ayurveda, or who allows me to just completely nerd out on Ayurveda, I tell them, just pick one.
Yeah.
One is all you need to make a change.
Yeah.
It just takes one.
It's all about the simplicity, right?
Yes.
We really like overcomplicating stuff in our lives.
Yes. We don't mean to.
Yeah.
But, you know, sometimes it just happens. And it's really not our fault, because we are a product of our environments that we've grown up in. You see, we develop thorns because we've been forced to face so much difficult decisions or difficult scenarios, and you develop all those thorns because you really want to protect yourself. But Ayurveda and yoga are like, okay, things were hard, it's all right. Now, let's focus on taking one thorn out at a time. You don't have to take off everything, one at a time. First, learn how to rest. First, come back, and then come back to your breath. Once you can do these 2 things, then you can think about even adding another routine to it. Tongue scraping? Sure, but rest first. Breathe first before you even think about scraping your tongue. Because I believe that sleep is one of the best medicine. It's free medicine. It's free. You don't have to pay for it. But it's that one medicine that we're consistently neglecting. And it's also not our fault, because there's so much overstimulation. There's so many things that are constantly running through our minds. So I really hope for all of humanity to really start valuing our sleep and our rest, because without that, everyone will literally go insane.
And how is it for you? So, you know, being in this line of work, sometimes it may be perceived that we have, you know, all the tools and we know how to take care of ourselves. But the truth is that it's not always like that. So what's your journey, or how was it for you? How was it to be of service in a world that glorifies hustle and, you know, being always, you know, on top of the game?
Oh, you get tested all the time, not just as an Ayurveda therapist, but like also as a human being, because you learn these principles from Ayurveda and yoga, and you get very optimistic, and you get very confident, like, oh, I can share this with the world and people will listen to me, or like they will take my advice. Because the moment people hear that you practice Ayurveda or yoga, they say, oh, you know, I've got headaches, I've got this, I've got that, and then you're put on the spot to give a recommendation or suggestion. But the problem is they're just asking out of impulse. Sometimes they don't ask to help themselves. They just want to create conversation, or they take that advice and they do it one time, and because they don't see the benefits, then they just completely abandon it. So I have gone through multiple episodes of burnout. Even as an Ayurveda therapist, with all these tools in my hands and in my bag, I've gone through many episodes of burnout because you're just thinking, am I not doing enough? Or am I not sharing enough? Or am I giving the wrong advice? Or am I really supposed to be doing this? Do I really want to give advice? Do I really want to share remedies? Is this my life now? Am I just like a person who talks about herbs? Am I just a person who people come to for massages? Or am I just a person where people will send me, my friends will send me like their medical reports, and I'll look at it and I'm just asking, yes, did you want me to do something? So you come to a point where you kind of feel a bit used, to be honest, or you have people who will meet you specifically just to talk about themselves. You think you are connecting with someone. It could be a loved one or a friend, but they are really just meeting you just to get something out of you. And when you realize that, you're just thinking, what just happened? So I struggle setting up that boundary, being like a friend, being a therapist, because at what point do I stop talking about my work? At what point is someone really asking about how I'm doing? You see? So my relationship with my role as an Ayurveda therapist has evolved over time. I've had multiple episodes of burnout, and I feel like they don't talk about this in the social media space. They're like, oh, I do my daily rituals, I do my abhyanga, da-da-da. I'm like, excuse me, do you not get tired? Do you not get tired of waking up at 4 a.m. every day? Don't you just want to sleep in just a little bit? Because I also struggled with that guilt of I'm not waking up early enough, or I'm not doing enough of my daily rituals. I struggled with that guilt, and at one point I just abandoned everything, you see? So it's very frustrating sometimes when I don't see those conversations, and I'm desperately looking for those spaces to have those conversations, because as therapists we also need each other. We need to talk about our well-being, because only when we are okay are we able to help others. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
So yeah.
How did you deal with the burnout?
The hard way. My body just completely broke down. Completely broke down. This year specifically, since January, I would be falling sick almost every single month. And the only time I didn't fall sick was when I was away for 1 month in Kerala to study martial arts. And the lifestyle between what I have here in Singapore and what I had in Kerala was so different, because here you are working, you're seeing patients, you are like on the public transport, you're constantly overstimulated. But in Kerala, all I had to do was wake up, train, eat, study, and go to bed. And then when I came back, the sickness came back again. And I didn't know that was burnout until literally earlier this month. My body just completely shut down on me. And I think the 3rd or 4th day into being so sick, where I couldn't hear properly, I couldn't smell, I couldn't taste, my vision was very blurred, and my body just didn't want to move. I couldn't even meditate. Then came the realization that enough is enough. You need to cut back. You don't have to do so much. I had to abandon my sadhana as well. And I struggled with a lot of guilt when I had to abandon my sadhana.
What is sadhana for the listeners? What is sadhana?
So sadhana is like a daily practice. It can be in the form of yoga posture practice. It can be in the form of meditation. It could be in the form of breathing practice that you do every day consistently without missing it. You try and do it at the same time every day, but it's okay if you don't, based on what I found out. But as long as you find time to do it, because that's a way to connect back to yourself before facing the chaos of reality, basically.
Yeah.
So
how does it feel like when you had to come to this acknowledgement with yourself that you need to abandon, with air quotes, your sadhana, just letting it go? And how was that emotional roller coaster ride for yourself until to a point of recognition?
Oh, I ugly cried a lot.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm. First, I didn't feel like I was letting myself down. I felt like I was letting my teacher down.
Mm.
And I'm thinking, but he doesn't care. He's not here. You know?
Yeah.
That was the thought process.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, okay, Parnella, enough. Your teacher gave you something to do. How you do it is entirely up to you at this point. So if you need to take a break, just take a break. So I literally had to inner dialogue with myself. And I had to tell myself, it's okay, you need to rest. Just rest. You can always get back to your sadhana again. Your sadhana is not running away. It's always going to be there, but you need to be okay first. So then I shifted the perspective from abandoning my sadhana to changing it to just focus on rest. So my sadhana became rest. So then that gave me the courage to text my boss and say, I'm going to cut down my hours at the clinic. I'm not going to take any new patients. If you want to assign a new patient, I will be your last choice. Until then, please give them to other therapists so that I can rest. And he said, by the grace of God, he said, I completely understand, Parnella. No problem. I support you. And then I just put my phone away and I just slept.
Yeah. That's so important to have these people that will always support you, that will always be there for you, that will always understand what you may be going through, right?
Yes.
Because the worst thing would be to be alone and feel like there is no one else experiencing the same thing, or no one else understanding what you're going through.
Yeah.
And sometimes
So
we
that's
don't
wonderful.
realize how much we take on.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we really don't know how much we take on. When I was seeing my counselor a couple of years ago, I've been seeing a counselor pretty consistently over the last 6 years. And then I switched over to a psychologist because it's my way of taking care of myself. And when my counselor asked me, so what do you do at work? And then in my head, I said, oh, I do this and that. But when I verbally started listing out the things I did, she just looked at me. She said, that's a lot. I'm like, yeah, that's a lot. I didn't realize I was doing so much. So sometimes you just
Piling
take
it,
and take and take without realizing it, thinking that you are just doing your job. But when in reality, you're just paving the way to burnout.
Also, I think that the burnout is a gift for you to come to this point of complete surrender, that you don't have any more resource within you to continue because your 5 senses are highly, highly stimulated. Everything's just wonky right now.
Yeah.
And imagine if your boss were to tell you, Parnella, you look overworked, you should rest. Perhaps you might not even receive it fully.
I'd
like,
be like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, exactly. So it's only when you could realize it yourself, that sense of clarity could give you the next step to move on, to do what you need to do, to say the words that you need to hear for yourself. And I guess naturally, whatever the outcome is, if someone understands and give you more free time to commit to your rest, that is great. If they say no, then you would know clearly that that's the next step for me would be to either leave the company or not, to make a decision for yourself. At least there's a shift instead of this constant loop of doing, non-stop doing.
Yes, exactly. And that's the beauty of fire, right? In Ayurveda, the element of fire, or Agni as we call it, it transforms. Sometimes you have to burn something to make way for new things. See, this is why everything goes back to Ayurveda. It's so wild, because every time I talk to my students about it, it follows the natural laws of the universe of creation, preservation, and destruction. And none of us, not even all the nuclear powers in the world, can try and defy these forces of nature, because we are completely governed by these forces of nature.
After this short break, Parnella will share with us more about burnout, setting boundaries, as well as her journey into finding unshaken clarity.
So when I went through the burnout, I was like, okay, I surrender. I'm done. I'm done fighting. I'm tired. I'm just going to nap as much as I can.
Yeah.
And that takes also a lot of strength and a lot of courage to actually admit it to yourself.
Yes.
Because it's really tough.
Yeah, it really hurts your ego.
Yeah,
you know?
definitely.
So I really had to tell my ego, not today. Not today. That's
Yeah.
enough now.
As you mentioned, Candice, you just have to have the strength to let go, to surrender to what is, present at this particular moment. And I feel all of these experiences are always there to teach us something, to tell us something, to sometimes scream if we didn't listen to the whisper.
Yes.
So just leaning over and allowing ourselves to take a step back is the most beautiful thing that we can do for ourselves.
I think the word that they like to use is permission. Right? To give permission.
Give permission.
Yeah.
So you mentioned about prioritizing rest.
Oh.
Tell us more. How do you rest?
Now, the ambassador of rest, please tell us.
I will admit that I still struggle with my rest from time to time. But I really try my best to be in bed by 10 or 10:30. I really try my best. I tell my patients I don't take appointments after a certain time as well. And I don't give myself that wiggle room to say, I'll just take you at 8:30. No, sorry. My last appointment's at 7, it's at 7. I don't go beyond that. Because the quality of your time and energy with your patient is so important, because it's a very intense energy exchange during any type of therapeutic setting. So if your energy is only half full, then they are only going to receive half of the quality of your attention, of your intention, of your awareness. Or even from that half you try and give whole of yourself, you end up being the one really tired. So I am very firm with my timings at work as well. Or I make it a point to plan my days in such a way that I don't have such a long break in between, or I don't see more than 5 people a day. There were days where I was seeing 7, 8 people a day, and it really takes a lot out of you. So I really had to tell myself, scale back, and I started asking for help. I would ask other colleagues, can you take this person for me? Can you take care of this person? Are you available to cover me? So I started asking for help a bit more. So that allowed me to be home by 9 p.m. and be in bed by 10:30 and just sit and just do a little victory dance. Yes, I'm in bed.
So a lot of boundaries you just created.
I had to set up boundaries, and I had to tell myself to ask for help as well, and explain that, if you're available, please help me. Or I would speak to my patient and say, look, I'm not able to make these times. Can we do it on a weekend instead?
Yeah.
So it's about really having enough trust and faith to have open communication with the people, not just within the work environment, but also the people I was taking care of as well. And I also had to tell my mom, I'll be meditating at this time, or I'll be doing this. So I also had to set up boundaries at home. So it's not that I'm being selfish, but I am just really explaining this is what I need. If not, you pave the way to having unnecessary assumptions or arguments coming up. So I had to communicate my expectations and my needs clearly. And at the same time, everybody tries to find a middle ground and be somewhat flexible. So I told myself not to be so strict with myself, and also not to be too hard on others. So I had to adjust my sense of judgment. I also had to ensure that I had enough kindness in me to understand where everyone's coming from. It takes a while to get there, to be honest, but I just, one patient at a time, one colleague at a time, just little by little. Now everything seems to be in a good place as well. So I would say I'm still in recovery, and I'm just taking my time with it.
Yeah, it's a constant effort to remember to rest.
Yes.
Because it's relatively new as well, of a concept that you can have space to rest, and you can have support, you can ask for support.
Yes.
So we're just training this new muscle again, that give yourself time, give yourself space. Tuesdays are off days. Make sure it's the best off day for you.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And it's so important for us to really be very confident in ourselves enough to stand firm in our truth, you see. And if we are always telling others to rest and we are not doing it, it's so hypocritical and it's so ironic
Yeah.
as well. So when I tell people, oh, you should rest, and I always feel my words just sort of screaming back at me at the back of my mind. And I'm like, okay, yes, I need to rest. You see, so every person I meet feels like they're a mirror of what I really need as well. So, yeah.
Apart from very easeful, mindful ways of resting, which is a lot of solitude, I guess. What are some ways that you invite play into your life or pleasure into your life?
Yeah.
Recently or like in this season?
So I try to look for the fun in everything I do. I don't approach things as an adult, if that makes sense. To quote my late father, he said, whatever you do in life, do it with childlike curiosity. So that's something I hold very near and dear to my heart, because as adults, we get really serious and we get like, oh, it has to be done a certain way. But as a child, you're just like, what does this do? What does this do? Can I try it like this? Can I do that? Can I do this? So I approach martial arts in the same way, because everybody in martial arts class, they're so fierce or they're so like serious. And I'm just like, oh, I made a mistake. It's okay. I'll start again. So I'm consistently laughing during class. And when I do my yoga asana practice at home, if my body wants to move a certain way, I'm like, okay, let's try it this way. Let's see how it goes. And I try to be as loose as possible. Like, you look at children and they're just running all over the place, not a care in the world, arms flailing and just screaming at the top of their lungs and just laughing and giggling. And I look at that and I'm just, man, that looks fun. Why am I not doing that? If everyone's okay with the child doing that, I can do that too. Not all the time, but as and when I have a chance, I'll do it. So I try to look for the humor in things. The other day I came home and I looked out the window and I just happened to look into a neighbor's house and I saw this kid jumping on the bed. And I'm like, man, that looks fun. So I looked at my bed. I'm going to jump on you now. So I jumped on my bed. And I had so much fun.
Wonderful.
I actually recorded a reel and I put it on my
on
the Instagram account.
I remember that. Yeah.
And I had so many people messaging me like, you're insane. Like, why would you do that? I said, because it's fun. What other reason do you need? It's just fun.
Exactly. That's a reason enough, right?
Yeah, it's just fun. And they say, oh, you're so confident. And I'm like, no, I was just bored and I was jealous of a kid. If a child can do that and no one's judging it, I can do that too. And I shouldn't care about who's judging it because I'm the one having the fun. Yeah. I'm the one having this little space of joy and just unapologetic glee that makes me giggle and laugh, and I'm so happy. And I try and bring that humor into my relationship with my mother as well, because I see her as a woman who's starting over, and I'm trying to expand our relationship. So there's a lot of humor in the way we communicate, and sometimes she will ask me to do something and I'll just break out into a dance and she's like, what are you doing now? I'm just having fun with it, ma. Like, just go with it. So I feel like play is so important. Instead of walking, why don't you skip? It's okay if somebody looks at you funny. Like, you just skip. You're in your own little world.
Yeah. I think the most important thing is that you don't judge yourself. Like, after doing it, you don't
take yourself so seriously.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't take yourself so seriously. I look in the mirror these days. I woke up this morning and my hair was just like gigantic. And I just looked in the mirror. I was just like, okay, you got this. So, because you look at your friends with so much love and you just accept your friends and your loved ones in whatever shape or form they come in. Why can't you do it for yourself? So now when I look in the mirror, I actually wave at my reflection, and it's
Yeah.
not like a this. It's like a like how a
Excited.
kid would
Yeah.
like wave at their
Oh, I
favorite
love
aunt
it.
or uncle, like, oh my god,
Yeah.
it's you. And I just do that to myself, and I come home, I look at my dog, and I sometimes I don't call her by her name. I'm like, babe,
Yeah.
hi babe, you're so cute, babe. And she just looks at me and walks away. I'm like, all right, babe, bye. So like, it's the silliest things, but it's so fun to just express how I'm really feeling inside, because there's like, why do we want to control so many things? Ayurveda says don't control your urges, right? Don't control. If you need to sneeze, sneeze. You want to laugh, you laugh. You want to fart, just fart. Why are you holding it in? These things are meant to come out.
Yeah.
You know, it's meant for your body to release it. So when I do a yoga class or when I'm doing therapy for a patient, I'm like, you want to fart? You just fart. Please go ahead. You want to burp? Please go ahead. And my patients would just look at me like, it's okay. It's not gross. I'm like, no. It's just your body communicating with me, saying that you are relaxed enough to let go. So the most classic example of our bodies letting go is through like a fart or a burp. So yeah, just let it go.
Just normalize everything
Yeah.
that people think is no.
Everything that is human.
Yeah.
Everything that is human.
Right.
Exactly.
Yes, it's all part of
Yeah.
the human experience to just be.
Beautiful. I love this journey that you're on through burnout, or maybe, it started way before that, but through that it's kind of unraveling
Yes.
more and more for you. And it's really beautiful how you're
Yeah.
uncovering rest and play in a very, open, beautiful way. Tell us a little bit more about your spiritual childhood. How is it
Ooh.
like?
So I grew up in a Hindu household. My dad was born Catholic and he converted to Hinduism. My mom grew up a staunch Hindu. So their journeys growing up were very different. So I saw that huge spectrum from being very free and full of bhakti to being very transactional with God. So my mom had a very strict upbringing. She was like, you have to do this, you have to do this ritual, do this. If not, God's not going to acknowledge your efforts. But then with my dad, he said, you can just think of God and just have a conversation with them. You don't have to be like, oh my God, like I surrendered to you. You can just think of them in your mind, think of them in your heart, and say, hi, I'm feeling this way, or hi, how are you? So it was a very casual, sort of loving relationship that my dad introduced to my sister and I. A lot of people have this assumption that a lot of Indians grow up with very strict religious upbringing, or someone told me, oh, don't you guys like expose yourself to the Gita? I said, not all Indian households expose themselves to the Gita. I didn't know about the Gita until I started at Union, you see. So in our house, yes, there are certain rituals we follow, but in terms of spirituality, I have to thank my dad, because he said, make all the mistakes you want, because no matter what happens, God is still going to love you. No matter what form, no matter what mistakes you make, God is still going to be like, try again, try again, try again. It's okay. You're not going to be punished. You just try again. So that's the kind of mindset that I grew up with. Just keep trying. Make as many mistakes as you want. Learn as many lessons as you can. Try and have fun along the way. And just keep trying. So when we talk about hope, trust, and faith, these were the things that basically kept me going. So Ayurveda and yoga are very personal to me, because literally, I would say they saved my life, and like it's liberating my soul, and it's brought me to a space of just very realistic happiness to just embrace whatever life is going to throw at me.
Beautiful.
So, yeah.
So it sounds like your dad planted the seed for you.
Yeah.
In a very loving way.
Yeah.
To allow you to be really open to life and anything that life offers you.
Yes.
Which could also explain why you have this constant openness and readiness to just accept everything.
Yes.
You know, like not needing to know the details of how a course would flow out for you. How do you benefit, you know, in a very material way.
Yeah.
But just surrendering to the process when you have this clarity in your mind that this is it. This is what my heart feels connected with, and this is what I'm going to do now.
Yes.
So could you explain to us a little bit about this unshaken clarity? What does it mean to you, or how do you know? How do you know that when you have this unshaken clarity?
I honestly think it took a lot of time to develop. I didn't know it was there. I think we never really know when it's there until you have like certain light bulb moments along the way. And it's not something that came to me naturally. I had to put myself in therapy. I had to see a counselor. I had to work through some really difficult mindset shifts as well, while taking comfort in Ayurveda and yoga that, you know, it's all going to be okay. So the clarity that you're talking about, it took time to develop. It was never there. I never really had it, because I was a chronic people pleaser, recovering emotional eater. I still feel I'm recovering emotionally, and like trying to fix my relationship or understand my relationship with food as well. So this unshaken clarity, it's still a work in progress. It's still a work in progress. I'm not going to say I'm very clear about what I want from life, but I'm just sort of taking it as it comes. There will be days where I will miss a step. There will be days where I make a mistake, or I will forget everything that I've learned, because when a bad day happens, a bad day really knocks you down and you just want to retreat. So it's just about understanding when it's time for you to step back.
Yeah.
When you need to take a break, when you need to let go. When those moments come, just let them come. Just receive it and just tell yourself it's okay. You just try again.
Yeah.
The thing that keeps me going is just try. You never know until you try, because the only way you are going to get through is to experience it. You know, and if you don't experience it, you won't know what you are capable of.
Yeah.
You see, humans have advanced over thousands of years because we just kept trying.
Yeah.
Whether it worked or not, there were so many failures along the way. And I love that there were so many failures along the way, because your failures and your mistakes are the things that sort of refine you as a person, refine your principles, your morals, your values along the way. And, you know, thank God for my dad, because he was just like, your life is not going to be perfect. You're going to make a lot of mistakes. So make your mistakes. Make your mistakes, own up to your mistakes, and learn from them. The most important thing is you need to learn from your mistakes. If you don't learn from your mistakes, you're going to make them again, and that's going to be on you. So you need to be responsible.
Yeah.
You see? So he was very... Of course, I didn't understand any of it growing up, because I was just like, dad's just being dad. But now when I'm older and you go through so much in life and you reflect on your experiences or your lived mistakes, and then you're like, okay,
It all makes sense now.
I get it.
I really loved what you said. It's something that Prasad has also been repeating to me. You are a work in progress. And this is so important advice and so important sentence for all of us to really remember through everything that we are, through our life, through everything that we are going, everything that we're experiencing, we are continuously work in progress.
Yeah, and that's the best part because you keep learning.
Yeah.
So life is not like you just take one lesson and you're done. No, it's going to keep teaching you. And if you develop that healthy sense of curiosity, like, okay, what's next? How am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? It's all about learning. And that's why I've learned to embrace life. I'm very excited for it because what do I get to learn today? Or what do I get to witness today? What do I get to be part of today? So having that love of learning, not just from books, but from everyday examples, from the people around you, learn from them. You see, that's what I love.
Having curiosity.
Yeah, that healthy curiosity or that unwavering curiosity is that thing that brings you towards that clarity.
Yeah, for
Because
sure.
you're always asking why, how, when, why, how, when.
Yeah.
And like what? We are in a space like, what do we do? What? But nobody asks how or why or when. Ayurveda and yoga answers the questions of how, why, and when. You see, that's why I love it so much because growing up, we are told what to do, but we are not told why. So we grow up asking why. We are here because we kept asking why. And then Ayurveda's like, this is why. And we're like, oh my God. So that's why we are so drawn and we continue to stay in this space of Ayurveda and yoga because she just keeps giving and giving. No matter how many whys we ask, she's always there with an answer. And then she tells us how. You know, whether we choose to practice the how, she's like, that's entirely up to you. When you're ready to do the how, you do the how.
Yeah.
And then you reap the benefits. You see? So it all comes back to Ayurveda and yoga again. They tell you how, when.
Yeah.
So then we know, because right now we just don't know how and when. We're just, top 5 tips or top 3 things. Yeah, you can tell us what to do, but you're not telling us when. And you're not telling us why and how to do it. So when I talk to people about brushing your teeth, scraping your tongue, they're like, why? And when I explain about saliva, how it's so important for your digestion, how it's so important for your immune system, how it has anti-cancer properties. I love talking about saliva, by the way. Oh my God. So, and then when I go into the specifics of saliva, people look at me like, oh my God, okay, yes, I'll brush my teeth and I'll scrape my tongue. And I say, yeah, you do that. Because your saliva, it's free medicine. It's the best kind of medicine that your body naturally produces. So you want a superpower, you just look at your body.
Exactly.
You're alive. Like, you being alive is a superpower by itself because your body is producing all those chemicals, those hormones, your saliva, like all these life-changing, life-altering chemicals and processes are happening in us literally right now as we speak. And it blows my mind because it's so magical.
Yeah, it's a gift.
Yes.
Yeah. I really love your passion. When you talk about Ayurveda, it just warms my heart to listen about saliva or anything else that you're sharing. Is there any specific part or any specific area in Ayurveda? Ayurveda is so immense that you're particularly passionate about.
Oh.
Or no?
Okay. Diet, lifestyle, great. I personally love, there's this one particular treatment in Panchakarma called Basti. So for those who don't know what Basti is, the English name for it is an enema. And enemas are traditionally administered through the anal canal. And I love administering Basti for patients, whether it's through the anal canal or the vagina. I'm like, bring it on, because that is nature's most powerful shortcut and loophole, because you bypass the entire digestive process and you go straight to the source and you basically nourish or cleanse the body from the other side. So you don't go through the process of digesting it and tasting all the herbs and like just asking yourself, God, why? But you just surrender, relax, allow the herbs to go into your body and just reset you from within. Every time I get to do a Basti treatment, I feel like it's my birthday. Really. So I always tell Dr. Satyam, got Basti case, just give it. Just give. Like, I receive it with open arms because I know it works. I've seen it work. It's so effective. It's so magical. Of course, for some people, it's uncomfortable, but it's important for them to have a good relationship with the therapist. So trust is something that's very important as well. And I really love holding and creating a safe space for patients who have to go through a therapy like that, because it's very vulnerable. It can be very intimidating as well, but I love being put in those situations because it gives me permission to go, I got you. Not just me, but Ayurveda, like, we've got you. Like, the universe is going to support you as your body goes through this beautiful process of letting go and cleansing and nourishment. So I don't know about other people. They'll talk about food and beauty and skincare, but I'm like, give me the Basti. I'm there.
Yeah. I love it. Yeah.
Now we know.
So when I teach about Basti in class, I have to tell my students, like, if I go off the rail and you see me getting very excited, it's because it works. And anytime they have a chance to observe a Basti therapy, I said, get in the therapy room, ask for permission, do it. It's magical. And they're like, oh my God.
Yeah.
So I'm that teacher who's a little bit weird. But yeah.
Yeah, and many people think that you have to go to a Panchakamara retreat or like a 2 weeks long detox to even have such therapy.
Yeah.
But you can actually receive it in Singapore with a very trusted therapist and of course a doctor's advice.
Yes. It's definitely a process to prepare for. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But, yeah, just talking about it makes my heart like want to explode.
We can see that. You're smiling.
And because my mom's a retired nurse, so I tell her, and I remember the first time I told her about it, because enemas are so normal in hospital settings, you see. But enemas have been around for a very long time. So my mom would tell me, and she's administered enemas before in the hospital. She said, just don't be in front of the hole. And I say, okay. Good advice. So yeah, Basti.
Thank you so much for sharing that. It really feels that you're living your dharma, your true purpose. Do you feel that?
I suppose I am. Yeah, I suppose I am. It gives me a lot of joy.
Yeah,
it really gives me a lot of joy. There was once I was teaching a yoga therapy foundation class, and I had a student who's a speech therapist and a behavior therapist for children, and she found yoga and mostly in the asana setting. So she said it has helped her improve her life a lot, and she's really happy, and it's changed her life. So during the class, we were talking about pranayama, and I asked her, do you practice pranayama regularly? And she said, oh yeah, when I go for yoga class, I'll practice pranayama. And I said, okay, that's nice, but do you practice it outside of yoga class? And she looked at me like she had this very quizzical look, like, I can do it outside of yoga class? She looked really confused. And I looked at her and I said, I'm going to ask you one simple question. She said, okay. It's like, your nose is with you all the time, no? And she just burst out laughing. She just burst out laughing. Her face went red. She was like tearing up and like laughing, crying.
Yeah.
And she goes, oh my God, I can do it anytime. I said, yes, you can. You can do it in the car. If your kids like drive you crazy, you just go to the room like mommy needs some time alone, and you just go do your pranayama and you come out and you're okay. So she goes, oh, I can do this with my clients. I said, yes, you can. It's for everyone. It's not just meant to be done in a studio on a mat.
Yeah.
It's for everyone. So I like the fact that I get to share this with people and allow them to expand their mindset on what yoga is and what Ayurveda is. It's such an honor to be able to simplify it and help people get to know these things on a very relatable level, because then it's not scary anymore.
Yeah.
Relatable is the word. I think that is what it sounds like when you could inject your own sense of humor into it, so people don't feel like you are giving them an instruction that they have to follow. And it is for them to realize that, I have this capability within my body, and I can honor it.
Yes,
So,
and like have fun with it and just try it.
Yeah.
Just have fun with it. Because they're like, oh, I have to sit down. I was like, no, you can lie down if you want to. It's fine. They're like, really? I say, yeah, no one's going to scold you. Just try it. Everyone's so scared to make mistakes, but I'm here to tell you, make all the mistakes you want. Just don't harm yourself. That's all I'm asking. But make your mistakes.
Make it and learn it.
Yeah,
and
make
release
it and learn it. Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Well, we are slowly ending the podcast, so we just want to ask you one last question, or maybe one more after.
Okay.
What is your version of heart-centered living? You basically gave us everything in the past an hour or so, but in your own words, what is your version of living a heart-centered life?
Never stop trying. Never stop trying, and always stay curious.
Love that.
Yeah, just never stop trying. Because the moment you stop trying, you are basically standing in your own way. Because trying is one of the most beautiful ways to give yourself multitudes of chances.
Yeah.
So yeah, never stop trying.
And what fills your cup and your heart these days?
Getting into bed by 10:30. Also, just having a chance to be with myself, be with my mom, be with my dog, and to observe the people in my life blossoming in their own way, becoming curious in their own way. Just seeing every day unfold like a miracle. Like you open up those pop-up books and a different structure pops up. Like that's how I see every day now. And I'm excited for it. No matter how tired I feel, every day I wake up, I'm just grateful. I'm just very grateful.
And we are grateful that you are here as well.
Yeah, this is like a dream come true, you guys. Oh my God.
Yeah. Where can people find you? Yeah.
So for my work, for therapy, you can find me at the Union Yoga Ayurveda clinics. But on the side, outside of work, just as a passion project and to very selfishly geek out about Ayurveda and yoga, you can find me on Instagram at Surya Nila Wellness.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the Instagram page I run really just for the fun of it.
If you want to see Parnella jumping on the bed.
Yeah, if you want to see me jumping on the bed, there's a reel.
Or waking up with a bed head.
Yeah, so all my self-care rituals, it's literally me like out of bed. Like, so you see me fresh out of sleep.
Yeah.
And I'm just taking care of myself. And then you see me in the next video where I'm all put together because I've done those rituals.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I also do like monthly IG live conversations.
Yes, I was just going to that.
Yeah.
Share a bit more about that.
I've always wanted to talk about menstrual health. It's something I've been very passionate about since I was a teenager. And I feel like it's a conversation that everybody should be having, not just amongst women, but with men as well. And in my experience with my guy friends and my barber and his barbershop buddies, when we talk about periods, they tell me, yeah, we want to know, we don't know. And because we don't know how to help. So that's why I'm very passionate about talking about menstrual health with anybody and everybody who's willing to listen. And that's how Red Lotus Rising was born. It's out of that intention of sharing about menstrual health. But then I also realized there are so many other things we can talk about as well. And initially, I wanted it to be just for women. And like I mentioned in the Instagram post, I'm done contributing to the divide. There's enough separation in the world. So sometimes we need spaces to have conversations for everybody, to feel included, to learn something. And that's how it was born.
Thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you for having me. I am so grateful. It's such an honor.
Yeah.
We had a great time.
Yeah, for sure. And we have so many other questions that are not answered. So maybe second episode.
Yeah.
Who knows? Thank you, Parnella.
Thank you, Candice.
It's a
Thank you,
joy.
Anna. I'm so glad we got to connect like this.
Yes.
It's wild.
Yeah.
So wild.
It's wild and it's at the same time it makes sense.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I think it was meant to be for us to
Yeah.
come to this room and talk about all these things. Thank you so much.
Thank you.